2, 3, 4. Music has really, I think, opened up my mind. Lay down my roots. It's a way to connect not only to our own culture, but also connect to all different cultures, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from.
In Bubba's Man Cave on Squamish First Nation, Tawani Joseph's band, Bitterly Divine, they're getting ready for the biggest gig of their career. They're part of Vancouver's celebration of Canada's birthday.
We're a rock band that happens to be First Nations. And we've played gigs like that, actually, where people thought we would come in and be fully traditional. But at the same time, at the end of the show, people were screaming and yelling and wanted to be a part and hang out with us after, and we wanted to hang out with them. And so you see that transformation within an hour or an hour and a half that actually happens.
But for all the transformative power of music, the city of Vancouver was pretty close to not having any Canada 150 celebrations at all, until the Indigenous community saved it.
We're going to have 25 canoes arrive from Ambleside.
Ginger Gosnell-Myers is Vancouver's first ever manager of Aboriginal relations, and she tells me she gets chills when she imagines this summer's canoe landing ceremony.
They'll be invited to land on Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh territory.
When the federal government unveiled its plan for Canada 150, Ginger had a dilemma. Vancouver has the third highest Indigenous population of any city in the country and had recently declared itself a city of reconciliation.
It's not impossible.
So how do you celebrate Canada?
It was definitely awkward for us to understand how we, as a city of reconciliation, could meaningfully just celebrate 150 years. We know it goes deeper than that. For Indigenous peoples, the last 150 years isn't something worth celebrating.
Would you have?
I don't think I would have celebrated. I don't think I would have celebrated Canada 150.
Like, what are the things that make it personal and hard for you?
It's really hard to look at Canada and say that they ever intended for me to be here today, and they ever intended for our peoples to be alive and for our culture to be alive. They didn't want us here. They wanted us gone. I can't celebrate that.
But instead of turning their backs on Canada 150, Vancouver's Aboriginal Advisory Committee came up with its own idea.
Why don't we rebrand Canada 150 into Canada 150 Plus, recognizing that if we're going to focus on Indigenous people's contributions to this country, we also have to acknowledge that we are older than just 150. We are 150 plus.
And now Ginger's excited about Vancouver's year-long celebration of her culture and history.
It means a lot just knowing that we're still here. And we're here because our ancestors were strong, they survived. And the next 150 years are going to look a lot different.
Canoes have taught me patience and strength, and to keep my heart open and to open to possibilities and open to new experiences.
Rhiannon Bennett is counting down the days until she's part of the opening of Canada 150 Plus. Rhiannon will skip a canoe from the Musqueam Nation that will make a traditional landing on a Vancouver beach.
It's in my blood, it's in part of who I am, just to get in the canoe and to go and to remember how long those canoes in these waters and how important they are to my family.
Sounds like you love them.
I love them so much.
Tell me why the canoe landing's important.
So it's not just the canoe simply coming in and landing. It's going to be a very powerful statement to the greater community to remind them all that we are still here and we haven't gone anywhere.
Rhiannon didn't want to have anything to do with Canada 150 before Vancouver's rebrand. It reminded her of how she's made to feel invisible in the middle of the city.
It's far too often I can be standing in my own territory and people look at me and they go, they can see that I'm kind of brown and they see that I might be from somewhere, a little different, and they always, where are you from? And I say, here. And they're like, no, but where are you from? I'm from here. I'm from this land. I'm Musqueam. And they're like, Musqueam? What's that? Where's that? I'm like, it's the land that you're standing on right now. I'm living on
Back on the Squamish First Nation, Bitterly Divine works through their set. And Tawani tells me he's just tired of people putting him in a box.
People seem to always want to place you into a place that was a long time ago, you know, and that's what they see. That's a wrap. And I think people hopefully will understand that we're more than just beads and feathers. And I think people...
So how do you get rid of that kind of stereotype? Well, actually coming together and meeting one another helps. And in Vancouver in 2013, that's exactly what happened, when Karen Joseph organized a walk for reconciliation.
We wanted to make sure that Canadians, everyday Canadians, understood that reconciliation was not an Indigenous issue, that this was a Canadian issue.
And why was walking important?
Well, it was the symbolism of having a journey together, of recognizing that myself, my families, my communities, that we were trying to create a new way forward for Canadians, for Canada, together.
Karen, who's now the CEO of Reconciliation Canada, had no idea if anyone would show up that day in 2013. But in the end, 70,000 people walked in the rain through the streets of Vancouver.
It was like exhilarating. It was amazing, the energy that the people carried that day, the power of that collective movement, that collective energy was awe-inspiring. It was a life-changing day for sure.
And so what Karen wants for Canada's birthday is to do her part for reconciliation. And so she's organizing a new walk in September as part of Canada 150 Plus.
What's at stake if the relationship doesn't get better?
The reality for Indigenous people is people are dying while we're having these celebrations. And you can't just turn away from that every day and expect people not to get frustrated, not to feel defeated. And so this walk is going to be really, really important because July 1st is going to have come and gone. And we're going to need to know that people are committed to creating something better together following these celebrations, right?
2, 3, 4. I truly believe that Canada will never fulfill its potential until Indigenous peoples are truly not only recognized, but are immersed into the fabric of what happens socially, economically in this country. And I think 150 Plus represents the new beginning for where Canada is going.
So maybe Canada 150 Plus is an opportunity to think about how we can do better in the next 150 years.
All right, let's take it from the top.
Nick Purdon, CBC News, from the Squamish First Nation.